The UK desperately needs this deal. This was the comment of an EU official who is close to the next round of talks. They're due to happen this week. So the EU believe that reality is starting to sink in for London. Boris Johnson and his team may not have always acted rationally during the negotiations with Brussels, but the bloc now think that the pandemic and the lack of trade alternatives will finally lead to some rational thinking in number 10. Now, over the last number of weeks, the UK experienced a series of delays and setbacks, to put it mildly, in other trade negotiations. The UK government hoped in some ironic way that this would put pressure on Brussels to be more flexible on some of its red lines. But sadly for Boris, the UK and Japan were unable to announce a trade deal at the beginning of August, as Brexiteers had planned. This was despite intense high-level political involvement. Another country that post-Brexit Britain want a comprehensive deal with is New Zealand. Now, their Deputy PM has pointed to British negotiators as rusty and unprepared for negotiations, not the type of calibre to play in the big leagues. Remember, the UK never had to negotiate major trade deals when it was part of the EU. It had some of the best people in the world doing it for them. Now they have to train up and rehire older ones who may not be familiar with some of the new agreements and mechanisms. Brexiteers in government have also put a lot of faith in a US deal, but considering that the current administration is fighting an election and has little time or interest at the moment to work on a deal, Britain's Trade Secretary Liz Truss also didn't succeed in convincing her American counterpart Robert Lighthizer to lift extremely damaging tariffs on British products. Not off to a great start here either. A problem for the EU when it comes to understanding the UK post-Brexit is that they think Brexiteers are interested in achieving economic agreements. However, for Brexiteers in government, they need to walk a tightrope which could be cut at any moment due to political anxieties back home over a deal or no deal. Both the EU and the UK have to reach a deal before the end of October in order to have it ratified by the European and British parliaments in time. Also, a problem with some of the messaging coming out from the negotiations is that they are just proposals, nothing set in stone. So while it may look like Michel Barnier is compromising, until it is signed, it cannot be claimed as a victory by Brexiteers, whatever the hell that means. I believe the biggest issue will not be fish or borders, but the level playing field. The issue of the playing field is not so much of a problem for the EU. It is the idea that the UK is dead set against any mechanism to ensure that it's being respected. Now, this is not a perfect analogy, but it's something like this. Your friend asks to borrow your car. You don't have a problem with that, but he also insists that when you drive the car, you do it at night so that you can't see any potential scratches. The UK is against any mechanism of scrutiny surrounding the level playing field in private, but against the level playing field itself in public. The EU doesn't really have private and public positions on issues like this. The way the UK seems to be taking this approach seeds distrust. How can you sign off on a trade deal with someone you can't be sure you trust? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. Why not become a Patreon and enjoy access to our Discord server where we share news, chat, and have some fun. If you become a patron, you can also make video suggestions on topics that are important to you. Check it out via the link in the description.